All right, before I start this, I'm going to set the stage with a little story, all right? I was younger, and this became kind of a joke within my father's family. We were all together, and he happens to be one of 6 sons. And whenever the family got together, the uncles would always have these conversations, and they were always about the things that you wouldn't traditionally want to speak about in a family affair. It was always religion, it was always politics, it was everything controversial. My point is when I was younger, there was one incident where in the conversation, it became very obvious that they were talking over one another. And because they spoke over one another, they came to the conclusion that the easiest way to resolve it is there was a candlestick in the middle of the table. The only person who could speak was the one who was holding the candlestick. And the candlestick became this prize item because you wanted to be able to speak. Well, my point in sharing this is there's 2 microphones up here. So I'm the panelist, right? I'm going to be guiding the host, and I'm going to be guiding. So I'm going to be relinquishing my microphone to John periodically and losing control of the conversation. So John, we got to play this well.
I'm just going to talk over you.
No. All right. So in that context, now let me just say one last thing. The questions I've received from each of you are wonderful. This is going to be, I believe, a great discussion. However, I'm going to end by asking you, what is a question that you thought would be asked that wasn't asked that you would like to then address? In other words, as we're going through this whole conversation, realize, is there something that honestly should have come up that didn't come up? It's, I think, a great way of saying we don't know what we don't know, and there might be something that you, in the end, may want to finally contribute. So at the very conclusion, we're going to give you just a few moments to perhaps enlighten us on something that we should have asked. All right, so I'm going to begin this. The 3 of you, I'm going to just more or less lean on who would like to go first, second, third. I don't expect each of you will have to answer each time, but here's where we're going to start. We're going to start high level. Just some good broad questions, and then we'll go deeper and deeper. The first one here asks a very basic question, is what is the best way to learn AI, classes, so forth, just using anything? Where do I start? What are your recommendations? So really, where do you learn about AI? How do you come to understand that? Who would like to go first? David, you got the mic. Let's start with you. Any thoughts?
Am I hot?
Yeah, you're on.
I am? Okay. I think you just have to play with it, honestly. You have to jump in and just start using it. There's classes and you can take things, but even in the class, you're really just going to spend time playing with it, so you might as well just play with it on your own. You don't have to pay to go to classes for it and experiment. And treat it like an intern. Ask it to do something and then give it feedback and then ask it to do it again, and that's how you're really going to learn how it's operating. That's probably the best way.
To add on to that, there are 2 or 3 things that I would advise everybody to do. Number 1, there's a newsletter out there called TLDR, and they actually have a specific newsletter that comes out every single morning that gives updates on all the new things that are happening in the world of AI. So I read that religiously every single morning. Number 2, if you really want to learn some really cool new things that are happening in the world of AI, start searching for them on your social media feeds, because the algorithm will pick it up and you'll start seeing things come through where somebody who's spectacular at ChatGPT is sharing their concepts on prompting. Somebody who's spectacular at creating these new agentic systems walks you through how to create an agent using Make or N8N, I think is the other platform. So those would be my first 2 recommendations, just to kind of get your foot in the water and then play with them. You can't break the systems, have fun, learn about them, talk back and forth with them, and enjoy your time because it's a lot of fun.
I think this room, having your peers to be like, hey, what is that thing that you did? Show me the beginner part of it, and then let's tag team and collaborate and make it better. Like, there's so much power in the room, and I think that's where that's going to be the best value to get started.
Very good. Tony, this is going to start with you. When I hear the word prompt, what is a prompt? What does a prompt mean? What am I doing when I'm prompting AI?
A prompt is telling it, what do you want? It can be as simple as, help me to write a response to Roger's email. Here's Roger's email, and I want it to be very quick, but I want you to be impactful. That's a simple one. Then there could be something that's just much larger where you say, hey, act as an event planner what would be the best way to get 3 dudes to sit on the stage and talk about AI for 40 minutes without going over time and talking over one another? Like, I'm giving it all the things that I want it to do to give me a valuable result. So that's a prompt.
Very good. David, anything more you'd want to add to that?
I mean, it's really just the souped up version of when you yell at your Alexa to set a timer for 20 minutes. It's just, that's all you're doing. You're prompting your Alexa to set a kitchen timer. This is just souped up versions of that.
John, did you have anything?
Really quick. Oftentimes the prompt is longer than the response in some of the things that I do because I'm providing it with so much detailed information that it clearly and concisely understands everything I'm looking for, and the answers are much more direct and much more on brand when you do that. So I would recommend, in some cases, you're going to want to have some very long prompts if you really want some detailed thought put into the answers.
15 seconds. As it's going to learn you. And so when you get a response, if it's talking to Alexa, that's not what I meant. Hey, change this. I want it to be like that. Very simple. Like, I think sometimes we overthink it. I don't like that. Give me something different. And that is a prompt, and you will get a better response over time.
So what I'm hearing is prompts are essentially instructions that you're giving to the computer that it's going to then use to provide whatever you're asking for.
Yeah, that's what we all said.
There you go. All right. All right. Next, and I like this one. This is a good question. This is a good question that I think is still high level. It's saying, how do you keep and balance the human touch versus AI when scaling? And related to that, will AI eliminate the need for a human assistant? So it's basically saying, how do we keep that human element, and what's going to be lost by going to AI from that? John, I'll let you start.
So I think you all heard pretty loud and clear during my presentation the comment of a human in the loop, right? So when you're using AI tools, I don't think that we're ever going to lose the human touch. And I think if you do lose the human touch, people are going to know it. You're going to send an email to somebody that you had ChatGPT craft, and that person's going to say, that doesn't sound anything like them. Who the heck is this emailing me right now? So I don't think there's going to be a time where we lose the human element. And I do think that there's going to be a time, though, where we're relying on AI to help us communicate in a way that the others may understand. So we've all heard the term know your audience, and in my opinion, AI allows us to describe to the system who it is that I'm speaking to and how I want it presented to them in my voice in a way that they're going to understand. And sometimes humans can't do that. So I think it's an opportunity for us to really make a positive impact, and I think we're all going to have assistants, but our assistants are going to know how to use some of these tools on our behalf.
I think similar, human in the loop. I think that there's this spidey sense is what I say about being able to read the room. And so AI can, I mean, it's a machine. Whatever you put in, something's going to come out. But the AI cannot tell the vibe or the energy that we have. And so, yes, I did just say something that may have been snide to Roger, but we have that energy. And so AI would have just been like, duh, we just said that, versus, yeah, Roger, that's what we just said, man. And so I think that there's going to be, I think there's a fear like, yo, it's going to replace us. Like, we have a heart. Our heart beats a certain beat. Everyone in here has a unique fingerprint, and so the AI is a bot. So
I think it's really going to help you actually have more human connection. Because if you think about all the drudgery you're doing, you're taking docs, you're doing data entry, you're answering emails, there's just all this little minutia that doesn't actually let you talk to a client as a human. And hopefully this is going to give us the roadmap or the highway to have work done so you have time to actually talk to your clients.
Good. Now, this is going to be an interesting question to ask because I'm not sure how this is going to be answered, so I am curious your response. They're asking, is there a template of questions to train ChatGPT or another AI on a personal level? I've seen some for businesses, but I'd like to train it on how to assist myself in expanding my knowledge and communication skills. So it's kind of like, can it help me like a teacher and at a personal level? Any thoughts?
Yeah, my business partner and I, we just did a raise for our company, and we did a friends and family or a safe round, and we didn't really know much about it. And so instead of just Google searching what is a safe round and having it just reading the Google search or even having a GPT tool tell us what a safe round was, we had it go get the information. Then it was like, okay, explain it to me and now ask me questions about it. So you could have it kind of create a real-time quiz, and then anytime I answer questions wrong, explain it again until I actually prove I know what the safe round is in the new piece of knowledge, whatever that might be.
Yeah, so when I was training the model, that's what I would call it. I call it training the model. I found all of the kind of things that I had created, my resume, articles that were written about me, emails that I have written in the past. And with ChatGPT, you can upload all of those into the system, and then you can ask it questions like, do you know, share with me what you know after I've uploaded all these files for you. And then, how do you recommend I XYZ? How do I improve my time management skills based on the calendar I uploaded to you? And once you train the model on who you are, you're going to start having these conversations back and forth with it, where it's going to interact with you and provide you with some pretty crystal clear answers, which is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And one of the fun things to do after you do train the model is ask the model to tell you what it thinks about you, and wait for the answer, because it's going to say things like, whatever, I'm highly intelligent or very kind or very compassionate, and it's going to go on for paragraphs about what it believes you are like as a person based on what you fed it. And if there's anything there that you think's incorrect, then feed it something that corrects that perspective.
I think, what do I feed it from a personal level? And so I think a lot of times we're like, well, I don't have anything that's written. Everyone in this room has sent an email, or probably 300 just in this week, or even text message. And so copy the emails that you've sent, copy the text messages that you sent into one big old text document, upload it and say, hey, this is me, and these are the things that I want to do. I want to learn to be a better speaker. I want to learn to be a better parent. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better big brother, whatever it may be. Those personal things, because we write differently when we're personal versus business. And so give it the things that you've done personally. We have emails that we've sent to our mom, our dad, our brother, our sister, our kids, and it will pick up on who you are. And so you can use that to be able to figure out from a personal level. And it's your PC or your cell phone, you're in a safe space. So it's not gonna be like, yo, John's an idiot, he doesn't know how to be a great brother. It's not gonna put that out there in the interwebs.
I like it. I like these responses. Before we continue, I'm going to add actually something. One thing that's related to this that I've experienced, and perhaps many of you can relate, is Grammarly. Grammarly is something I use that's helped with my spelling and so forth. But the nice thing is I get an email recapping my tone. You tend to speak in this tone. You are very affirming. You're very concise. And it actually surmises how you're communicating. And if there were things that I'm maybe not aware of, and it's letting me know, well, maybe I can correct that in future communications, because, you know what, maybe I'm not as inviting, or maybe I'm too curt or too direct. And those are things that it's giving me as insights about my communication style. So there's a practical example of how the AI, if you will, is basically feeding back to me some observations. So there you go. All right, next, and we're getting a little deeper now. This one really gets to a great question, which are, what are some of the drawbacks or legal pitfalls of using AI tools with my customers' financial data?
I think we've had this conversation just in sidebars.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday.
I am one that I protect my security the same way I protect my wife and kids, my data security in my firm. And so, yes, I know that the machine is not going to put all of the stuff out there, but I still would do what I need to do to make sure that I don't have any client information. If there's a breach of some sort that happens, my client cannot come back and say, well, but clearly it was the Visa system that had the breach. But I'm going to make sure that my behind is covered. Whoever big red logo or big blue logo can have a data breach, and guess what? The lines will still be all the way out the door because they don't care. If we have any type of a breach, we might as well go ahead and put our application in at one of the big red or big blues, because they're going to try to shut us down. And so how you do that, it is a machine. Take a screenshot of the information minus the client's name, or just call the client ABC. I have plenty of clients. I was trying to pull up ChatGPT. I have clients that are Acme, Beta, and Zeta. Like, those are the 3 names. And I know who they are because I just wrote the prompt. But if someone gets a hold of that information, who the heck is Zeta? It could be anybody. And so for me, I don't trust the machine 100%, maybe like 82%, but that's what I do to make sure that I have some level of coverage for me.
And I'm sure as soon as I say this, somebody's going to prove me wrong, but as far as I know, there's no laws about disclosing to your clients that used GPT on any of their data. Like if you outsource your tax data to overseas, you have to inform your client about that. There's no laws at this point. Now, it's probably a good practice to disclose it, but the clients are expecting you to use it anyways. But there's nothing, as far as I know, law-wise, restricting you from uploading data in, even if you don't create fake business names. I think you're allowed to just upload it straight in.
Quickly, for my team, we'll ask our clients if they're okay with us doing it before we do anything. And we have that recorded in an email or via our Google Meets. We have them recorded, transcribed, and note summaries, so it's always there for us to be able to see. So I'm not quite as concerned as Tony is, but I understand his concern. And then from a legal perspective, the one thing that has been found is if you create images with AI generating platforms, you can't copyright or trademark those images. You have to recreate them or take an element of them, but then put your own touch on it in order to copyright that image. So there are going to be laws coming down soon enough, but those are the only laws I'm aware of today when it comes to AI.
Very good. This one here is, I think, a quick, fun one. What is an AI tool you're currently using that you're pleased with and that you have found helpful? I'll start. Just to give you an idea, I mentioned Grammarly. I use RingCentral. RingCentral has a tool where you can turn on an AI script. It actually records the transcription of the phone call, and rather than having to now make notes of the conversation, I can take the bullet points of that and actually enter it into my CRM as notes of action items. I can edit it accordingly before saving it, but the transcription that it would have taken me following the call to make and remember, oh, I was supposed to do this, they're supposed to do that, and so forth, I find that that's been a huge time saver. I believe that it's a great note taker, and at the end of the day, I can, with a few minor edits and additions, really summarize a great conversation in just moments. So that's a easy application of how I'm seeing it useful. Let's go down the line. David, what's a useful one that you're taking advantage of?
The ones that we've custom built are probably the ones I'm most favorite. But from an off-the-shelf tool, I use an app called AccuFlow, and you can take all your inbound tasks from all your different stuff. So you use Process Street and ClickUp and GitHub, and bring all your inbound tasks to one main task area. Then you can map it to your calendar. But it now has, they added AI, and I was able to just take a photo. You know, like if you ever have kids or the teachers or the coaches, they don't actually create calendar appointments for you. They send an email with just, it's not even an email, it's a photo of a piece of paper. And it's like, here's practices on Thursdays, and we're gonna skip this week in the summer. And you can just take a photo like that, and that's unstructured, load it in and say, add these to my calendar, and it'll go and create those appointments. Now, it's not that smooth. There's a little dance back and forth because first it does them wrong, then it does them wrong again. Like I said, it's like an intern, and you gotta coach them up to but eventually it's still faster than me manually creating calendar appointments in my calendar. So you can take that unstructured data. But that's probably my favorite use case right now.
I like that one,
unstructured
good.
data.
Tony.
I use Fathom for our discovery calls, first and foremost. Actually, I use it for everything at this point. But yes, the transcription, ain't nobody got time for that. But I'm also appreciative that after the meeting, it will send, I have it set up because I don't have time for it, to automatically send a message to all the people that were on the meeting. So you don't forget that we said that this is going to be $12.50 a month for these services. And so now I can take that information and it helps me to put it into the next system for the engagement letter. But client, this is what we talked about, because we all know that our clients, somehow they heard something completely different than what we talked about. Well, here are the receipts, and so now everyone's on the same sheet of music.
Do you have all night? Because there's a lot of platforms that my team uses every single day. To their points, Google Meet, a lot of us are on Google platforms for our email addresses. Google Meet now has a transcribe, record, and note summary process that you just have to click a button and does it for every single call that you do, so you instantly have the feedback. Go ahead and edit it before you send it to your clients, right? So using that, Ideogram yesterday announced for the first time the ability to upload your logo and then upload a photo or an image, and it will create an ad for you based on those 2 uploads. It's the first platform that's ever done it, and they announced it yesterday morning, right after I spoke. So I wasn't able to include it yesterday, but there are, in ChatGPT, I mean, it's, if you want legal advice, if you want contracts written, I could go on for hours.
By the way, John, your answer right there, I wouldn't say answer in the sense that it wasn't preceded by a question per se, but you actually answered a question in here, which is for advertising purposes, how to best go about doing this, and you just gave a solution, so I appreciate it. All right, the next one, this is kind of a broad question again, but I think it's appropriate here in the middle of our conversation. Why is this so important for accounting professionals? Why at conference? Why in podcasts? Why in conversation is this coming up? And again, as it relates to our profession as accounting professionals, where is it that we see that this is actually going to impact us, that we need to be aware or not even concerned, but conscious of it? Tony?
This industry moves so slow, and everyone knows it. And so if you want to disrupt something, the accounting folks are going to be the group that's after the last folks that got on the ship and it already sailed. And so we are in a position now, I mean, anybody in here still on QuickBooks Desktop? Don't raise your hand, just blink twice. But I mean, the reality is that we are slow, and so we at least put your feet in the water. It's fine. It feels okay. And then slowly come deeper into it. But if you stay on the shore, you will be left. Anyone ever seen like a video where folks are running because the cruise ship has taken off? You better get with it, or the cruise ship will take off without you.
And we've lived this history already. The transition from desktop to cloud, Intuit had data on this with QuickBooks, Xero had data on this. Firms that had all their clients on cloud first were growing at 40% a year and had much higher profit margins. We've lived this already. And just even on our last episode, you can go find the last episode of the accounting podcast, so I'm gonna mess up the numbers, but we're starting to see this, that firms that are embracing AI are getting their average revenue per employee, I'm just making up numbers now, it's close, go listen to the podcast. Basically 160,000 an employee is their average revenue per employee. Firms that are like experimenting with AI are probably 120,000 per employee, and then firms that aren't using AI at all are less per employee of the revenue. Now, does it really mean it's because of the AI? Maybe not, but it's probably the mindset of that firm. A firm that's willing to try to use AI is probably doing other things to make their firm more valuable as well. But we're seeing this division between the people that kept all their clients on desktop and moved to cloud. We're probably gonna see the same thing happen again with AI. Like Tony said, you don't wanna miss the boat.
Very good, thank you. John, you're not an accountant. We just had 2 accountants say something. Did you have anything to add to that?
I'm not an accountant.
Well,
I just have a podcast about
it. Being an accountant, you have an opportunity, especially if you're a solopreneurship or a smaller organization, you have the chance to be much more nimble than the larger organizations. And this is one of the first times in history where you can jump on board and be able to compete with the big companies at the lowest price point ever. And that's never happened before. So this is the time in life to take advantage of it, because we've never had the opportunity for a 2-person team to create content and create marketing messages basically for free, minus the monthly subscription fees, which are just as good or better than the big companies are, and they're paying millions of dollars a year for it.
There you go. All right. This one here, I'm going to ask it 2 ways. One, it's partially an opportunity for a product endorsement, so I recognize that. But this question is specifically asking, do you suggest a specific platform as it relates to AI with accounting? And then the second question is AI use with tax preparation or advisory. Before you answer it, though, here's what I want to throw out. How do you see AI being integrated into current platforms as well? So it's kind of a 2-pronged answer. So, David, you've got a mic there. Why don't you start?
I think eventually it's just going to be in the apps themselves. I right now you should learn and play with, go directly to ChatGPT, go directly to Claude, use these services and play with them, but it's going to be just built into the apps themselves, and it's not going to probably be in this method of it's a chat. Apps like Canopy are going to have some sort of, everybody here probably sends their clients a tax organizer, right? Instead of that, you're just going to have the client drop a bunch of documents just in a Google Drive, and then AI is going to go and figure out what those documents are and basically build the custom tax organizer and fill most of the fields in for them. So you're going to get it in the other apps, but to really get to that point to understand how this is working, you still have to do the experimenting and play with it, but it's going to be built in the apps. And I don't know if I have a favorite as far as like for tax professionals yet. Okay. And I don't think it exists yet. I think this is all coming very soon. And when I say soon, like your next tax season, probably.
I think specifically on the tax and accounting side, there are some programs that are out there. And today, many of the vendors are putting something together so that it can be acquired by a larger org. I know that there's some things out there where we can upload a bunch of tax docs or a bunch of bank statements, and that 2 minutes, all of a sudden we have a list of, hey, by the way, this was a 2022 1099 that you uploaded, not a 2024, and it will generate a task to send to the client and say, hey, thanks for the 2022, we already took care of that. We need a 2024 form, can you send that to me? Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna annoy the crap out of you for the next 14 days or whatever you set in the system. Now, I don't have to worry about remembering whether or not you gave me the right form. The system is going to do that. And so that technology, it's here. Is it perfect? No. Will it be by next year? It probably will be much better. And so we need to be prepared for that and embrace it. It's going to make us do more with less so that Dawn can go and play softball, coach softball.
So I'm the only one up here that isn't necessarily in the accounting practice. And the one thing I can say is this was the first year that I hired somebody to do both my business taxes and my personal taxes. And the thought of having to provide that person with all of these various documents was daunting. So I just went into ChatGPT and I uploaded my bank statements and I uploaded my credit card statements and then I gave it a list of like 30 or 40 things that I know are business expenses. And then I also said, anything else you see that's outside of Seattle, that's going to be a business expense. Can you please compile a list of everything? And it did it all for me, popped it into a Google Sheets and forwarded that to the tax person. That's all I needed, didn't need anything else. So that daunting task was solved in an hour on a Saturday for me, which was wonderful.
This is wonderful. I'm going to echo a lot of what we're saying here, and I've said for a long time, David, like you, that the platforms we're already using and that we're familiar with are going to integrate the AI into the platform. And I'm just going to give a practical example that I'm sure some of us have an opinion on, and it's that of using our phones and scrolling through various pages and seeing ads appear of either conversations we've had or things that we've looked at, and we're just annoyed by, why am I seeing this ad when I just had this conversation? That annoyance, I think we also need to embrace as it's actually learning you, knowing you, and although kind of eerie, I think we've become now numb or accustomed to it to the point that we recognize it's trying to serve us. There are advertisements you're getting that I'm not interested in at all, and if it's going to waste my time, I'd rather it not be with things that don't interest me. Rather, it's providing a service where it's giving me things that are relevant. And yes, it's kind of odd that I was just talking about something and now I see an advertisement for it, but isn't that convenient? I mean, it's learning me and it's providing me with something. So now take that to the level of accounting. You're now providing, like you say, tax documents, and it's able to point out, by the way, this is 2022, and I think we're working on 2024. Those types of assistants are going to streamline and help us with our workflows, and that's really a powerful thing. So that leads us to efficiency. It's basically what is the most efficient use of AI in the world of accounting and finance. You gave a very practical example as it relates to clients. Do either of you have an efficiency example of, from an accounting or tax point of view, how AI is helpful?
Yes. So we provide summaries to our clients of what happened with their financials. In the past, it's taken 30, 45, 2.5 hours to write that stuff because someone has interrupted, whatever the case may be. And so what we do now is we upload the P&L balance sheet and all that and say, hey, this is the client. and we have like a library of prompts. And so Zeta likes to do this or is experiencing this, give me a summary, and I need the 3 points that are going to be most impactful to them. And also, by the way, make sure you put TP sauce on it, which is Tony Proctor. So I want it to sound like me.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And it says, and listen, and I brought my phone, I'm gonna show you guys, and it says, I bet. So, because it knows that this is how I talk, and so now in the 2 minutes, I have got a report together. I'm gonna look at it and make sure it makes sense and it didn't come up with some weird thing. But I can send that report to them, and they're like, yo, dude, like, this is amazing, thank you. And instead of 2 hours making sure that I put the right words in the right place and it makes sense, AI has done it for me, and I can go home early.
Excellent example.
That's what I was going to say is you can, right now today, you can go home, upload the profit and loss balance sheet, and prepare for the next client meeting. It'll just summarize it for you. You know what topics of conversation you're going to have. You don't have to think about that in the car. You just do it and show up to the meeting and have the meeting. That's really the best use case. Probably right now today you can do.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm finding very helpful here, and it's being illustrated in the conversation, is AI is your assistant. It's that thing that you can more or less bounce ideas off of, ask questions of, and as an intelligent entity, give you some insights that you're not otherwise having. So I like this. This is really good. So I'm going to now switch, and we're going to leverage this from a marketing point of view. How can we use AI to help us with our marketing, whether it's advertisements that you were mentioning with ads, or it's content creation, or managing the actual campaigns? Where are we finding AI is useful as it relates to marketing?
Yeah, everybody heard me the other day. I think it's probably one of the most integral tools we can use, again, to create everything that you might want to create, from content to images to video. All of that can be done now with the power of AI, and we pop in the gig economy as well. So when you look at a billion-dollar brand and their marketing is, when I worked for a big global restaurant company, their marketing budget was about $300 million. And they would do a dozen TV commercials and whatever the case may be, and they'd be spending $100,000 on the commercials and $200,000 on graphic designers. All of that stuff we can do now for pennies on the dollar compared to what it used to be. So when you are using these tools, as long as you train it properly on the client that you're doing the marketing for, or your own firm, if you train it properly and you provide the right information, all you have to do is just be like, hey, I want to promote XYZ. How do you think I should do it? What about my competition? What are they promoting? How do I differentiate myself from them? What do you think I should do next? And even if you have a budget, I did this with a project, a workshop in Chicago. We gave everybody a total budget, like a fake budget of $200,000 to launch a new product. And they went into AI and they were like, hey, here's the product, here's what it does. Our budget's $200,000. How do you recommend we spend that money? And it will break it down by category, including trade shows and how much a trade show would cost. And not that it's necessarily accurate, but it gives you a place to start.
So I promise you guys I'm paying attention, but I'm scrolling because I wanted to see something. So from a marketing standpoint, sometimes I will go and I'm doing social media like hard. 3 times a day I'm just going. And some days it's terrible. And so right before April 15th, I was like, yo, I'm tired, I'm worn out. And I just took a random picture and I put it in, I call my chat GPT Black Chat. That's who I am. And so I told him, I was like, yo, give me a caption to put on IG. And it's like brains on 5%, but I'll hit record anyway. Late night client flow, tomfoolery in the AM, let's ride. And I was like, I need a little bit of humor. Say less. Here's a version with a light touch of humor. And it goes on and says, recorded this on 5% battery and brain power. Late night client vibes, tomfoolery on deck in the morning, send snacks. I copied, I threw it up there. This took me literally a minute. 30 seconds for the first one, 15 seconds for me to say, hey, give me a little bit more, and I hit post. And had I not actually used this, I would have never posted it, and I would have had the image just sitting in my phone forever, as many of us probably do.
Excellent example. Thank you. David.
I mean, it's really good to take existing content and turn it into a LinkedIn post, social media post, blog post, et cetera. I have not written a LinkedIn post, like a long-form LinkedIn post, ever in my life, I don't think, at this point. Every time we record an episode of our podcast, a small 5-minute clip gets pulled out. It gets turned into a LinkedIn post. I post it. And we have some LinkedIn posts getting 30,000, 40,000 views. And I did no work. I shouldn't admit that, but that's the truth.
That's
Secret's
awesome.
out.
That's good. All right. I'm going to come now to each of you for what didn't we ask that we should have asked. And I'm looking for some insight. Now, I'm going to start this by sharing something that I think is relevant. So in preparation for my presentation tomorrow, I used a platform called Gamma. Gamma is a PowerPoint presentation platform that you can actually put in kind of an outline if you chose, and from it, it will create slides. So you will see tomorrow what I used to actually create my PowerPoint presentation. And what's powerful about this is we were given a template that we were supposed to use. You'll notice that the slides are all mirroring one another as we're presenting. Well, I was able to put in there the color schema for everything and the tone and so forth, and using that information, it was able to give me a PowerPoint presentation that was about, I'd say 60, 70% of what I would have expected. I still needed to customize it and work on it, and it did still take time, but I know it saved me time, and if I continued to use it, I know it would save me more and more and more time. It's amazing what we can do if we get in and just simply play with it. So what I want to ask you is each of you, what is something that we didn't ask as it relates to AI that you thought would be asked, or more importantly, we should know? And we'll just go down the line. I'm going to start with you, John.
So I think the question that I get asked everywhere that I go, and I didn't get asked the question here, is how much do you think it would cost to have all the tools I need each month from a budgetary perspective? And my typical answer is, if you're not getting the ChatGPT Pro version, which is the $200 version per month, then you can probably get all the tools for somewhere between $125 and $200 a month, which is nothing from a cost perspective, right? You're talking $2,400 a year, that's it. And if you really want to get really deep into research about your competition and what they're doing, like for us, I'm the only one that uses ChatGPT Pro, but a summary about GrowCon from ChatGPT's $20 version is maybe 2 pages, and a summary on the ChatGPT Pro version is probably 10 to 12 pages. It does so much more research and digs so much deeper into it that from a leadership perspective, it's nice for me to be able to see that, and then I can provide direction to my team from there. So that would be the one question I'm surprised I wasn't asked.
Nice. I like that budget. Good. Tony.
Not necessarily a question, but a thought. Do it. For the folks that were in the VIP with me, take action. Like literally, at the next break, open up ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm new to this. What should be the first thing that I should ask you to do? And let it go on and say, oh, well, great question. Let me da-da-da-da-da-da. Do something. Like just, I'm not going to say the company that got the check mark on their shoe, but just do it. Like, just give it a shot and see what comes of it.
I think the question that should have been asked is what I hate about AI. And I think it's just the potential is so there, and so many times you'll do something and you'll be like, this is amazing. I was able to take this email with my airplane flights and I put it on my calendar, and I like to put a little airplane emoji and then put another appointment of when I should drive to the airport and get it on my calendar. And then the next day, it can't do it at all. And you're just like, it really, you go crazy. And we're just going to be in this phase right now where it's going to suck sometimes, and we just have to get through it. And the perfect example is going back to like Alexa, Siri, and OK Google. Everybody's phones and stuff are going to go off. They've been really good at setting alarms, and now they've added AI. So every time I ask OK Google to set an alarm now, I get some explanation about, so you want to build an alarm clock? Like, it's just insane. Like there's so much about it that has potential, but it'll also make you crazy. So you just have to push. That's just the phase we're in. You got to push through that hate of it because it exists.
This is wonderful. I appreciate ending on that note because it is a little frustrating at times. I want everyone here to give them a round of applause. This is an excellent core group of panelists. I appreciate each of your time. Thank you each for your questions. This was a wonderful discussion. With that, I'm going to end with one little piece of advice, a challenge, because I loved your challenge, Tony. Here's your challenge. If you haven't already, go to your app, Play Store, whatever it is, and download ChatGPT. It is an app. And the next question you ever want to Google, I want to have you go to ChatGPT and put in that question there instead. So put it in and just talk to it. Google, where is Costco? Where's Costco in this area? Does Costco have this product? I don't care what it is. Whatever your next prompt is that you're intending to actually do it in ChatGPT and see what you can accomplish. Robert, are you about ready to say something?
I'm going to say something.
Oh, this is my son. He is the guru here. He uses it. All
Well,
right.
actually, I'm not going to. I love ChatGPT. I've been using it forever, but we haven't had any virtual representation yet, and we've got someone asking a question. And so I wanted to say, let's get them in. So I've got one question for you guys. How do you deal with ChatGPT or any other chatbots when it comes to plagiarism? Is there any concerns, any worries about how you should best go about that? So I just wanted to throw that in there so we could get some virtual love.
It's an interesting question because ChatGPT, my version of ChatGPT is created to write like I do. So it's not uncommon for me to be like, hey, here's an article that was featured in McKinsey and I want to share it with my team. Can you create a summary for me? But let's make sure we include the link so if they want to see the entire article, they can link through to it. So I personally don't have any issues with the plagiarism element as long as I'm not copying and pasting the article into mine and claiming that it's my own, right? As long as I'm taking a summary of it and I'm reviewing it myself and confirming that everything looks good to me and is on my brand and my voice, then it's not something that I concern myself with.
Yeah, I think that you definitely have to look at what it gives you. Because we hear a lot about it. Sometimes it will hallucinate. Sometimes it will just make up stuff. I mean, it'll be like, 112% of accountants are under the age of 12. And you're like, what? So there is a level of that. Like we have to look at it and see what's going on. It's just taking a whole bunch of data and throwing it together. But look at it and still make sure that it. Again, you guys heard me say TP sauce, but whatever it is, look at it and is this how I sound? Change up some of the words. I know there's a prompt that you can make this sound human-like. My daughter did that and never mind. So, I mean, you can tell it, hey, sound more human-like, but still take a look at it and make sure that it is legit.
Yeah, Tony keeps stealing my answers, but it's hallucinations. That's what you have to worry about is the fake data that it just makes up. And it's really hard because if you take a bank statement and you upload it, it's going to pull what's on the bank statement, but it's really rolling the dice of what else might be on that bank statement. And it'll add something else to your response. So you really have to tell it, or go out of your way to say, only use the data I provided, don't invite any other data, run some totals and to make sure that total you run matches what's on the bank statement. So there's things you can do to control that. But yeah, plagiarism is not the worry for accountants and tax people, it's hallucinations.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but I want to do a big round of applause for Roger for allowing us to be here. I greatly appreciate the invitation. It's been a spectacular event, so thank you very much. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. So glad hallucinations came up. I'm surprised it didn't earlier because that's probably the biggest gotcha that I think we have in the accounting profession because of the numbers that we work with. So well said. Beautiful. Everyone, round of applause for these people here. We've gone over. Robin, I'm going to have you come up on the stage.